I didn't know my minister was a thug. Now I understand the meaning of the word thug. The Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology and Development, Professor Emon Murira, and other ministers here present, if there are any. Deputy Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, Honorable Smelilizwe Sibanda, and other deputy ministers if they are here. Permanent Secretary for Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, Professor Tagwira. Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Vice President, Honorable KCD Mohadi, who is standing before you. Dr. B.M. Dube and other permanent secretaries here. Senior government officials, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe, Professor Mafumo, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe, Professor Charles Mbowa, Executive Dean of Students, Dean Faculty Deans, Department Chairpersons, President of the Student Union, Teaching and Non-Teaching Staff, Chairman of Departments, elected representative of teaching staff, students, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. It is a great honor and privilege to be here today, delivering a public lecture on an important topic, 44 years after our independence. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa Day, celebrated on May 25 of every year, resonates deeply with the continent's history. It makes birth of the the Organization of African Unity, now AU, in 1963, and a culmination of decades of struggle and powerful symbol of African unity. To understand the significance of Africa Day, we must delve into the historical context that originated the Pan-African idea. The historical context. The journey towards unity began with the first Congress of Independent African States in Accra, Ghana, in the year 1960. This gathering served as a crucial stepping stone to effect the idea. 32 newly independent nations came together, forging ties and fostering a sense of solidarity. The Congress laid the groundwork for a more formal continental organization, recognizing the power of a collective voice in a world dominated by colonial powers. The significance of the Accra Congress in amplifying Africa's voice cannot be overstated. Prior to 1960, newly independent African nations often found themselves isolated and at disadvantage in international organizations. Colonial powers still wielded considerable influence, and individual African states lacked the economic or political clout to effectively advocate for their interess. The Accra Congress changed this dynamic by bringing together leaders from across the continent, that is Africa. It created a united front that could no longer be easily ignored. This collective voice, ladies and gentlemen, resonated on several key issues. Firstly, the Congress served as a powerful symbol of decolonization efforts. The sheer number of newly independent states present a clear message to the remaining colonial powers. Africa was united in its desire for self-determination. This collective stance undoubtedly put pressure on the European nations to accelerate the process of decolonization. And secondly, the Congress allowed African leaders to present a united front on economic development. Colonial exploitation had left many African countries impoverished and with weak economies and limited resources. But by speaking with one voice, they could now negotiate more favorable trade deals and secure international aid on a collective basis. This economic solidarity had the potential to accelerate development across the continent. Furthermore, the Accra Congress fostered a unified stance on global issues. The Cold War was raging in the 1960s, and the newly independent nations were wary of being drawn into the conflict, which was not of their own. By presenting a united front on issues of neutrality and non-alignment, African states could protect their sovereignty and chart their own independent course in the international arena. Indeed, the Accra Congress was a powerful display of African unity. It demonstrated that speaking with one voice, the continent could amplify its message, defend its interest, and pave the way for a brighter future. This newfound solidarity laid the foundation for the creation of the OAU, the Organization for African Unity, just 3 years later, and making a significant step towards a more unified and influential Africa. Comrades and friends, on the 25th of May, 1963, the dream of a united Africa materialized with the formation of the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. 32 independent states signed the OAU Charter, outlining a commitment to unity, non-interference in internal affairs, and the complete eradication of colonialism. This marked a historic turning point, offering a platform for African nations to address shared challenges and advocate for a united stance on the international stage. The signing of the OAU Charter wasn't just a symbolic gesture. It established a concrete framework for collaboration. The Charter enshrined several key principles that would guide the organization, including the fact that Africa is a continent with cultural richness, encompassing a multitude of religions, ethnicities, and languages. The OAU Charter acknowledged the diversity as a strength, fostering a sense of Pan-Africanism that transcended national borders. It emphasized unity without demanding uniformity. Member states retained their sovereignty and autonomy, allowing them to pursue their own cultural identities and political systems while still working towards common goals. This delicate balance between unity and diversity remains a cornerstone of the African unity of today. Ladies and gentlemen, the principle of non-interference aimed to prevent conflict and foster trust among member states. And by respecting the internal affairs of each nation, the OAU avoided becoming entangled in domestic issues or power squabbles or struggles of member states. This prevented the organization from being manipulated by any single dominant power and ensured a level playing field for all members. The eradication of colonialism remained a central objective, a cause that resonated deeply with many newly independent nations. The OAU provided a platform for these states to share their experiences with the lingering effects of colonial rule. It allowed them to coordinate strategies in their pursuit of self-determination and economic independence. Additionally, the Organization of African Unity offered support to the nations still actively struggling against the colonial regimes. This solidarity played a crucial role in pressuring colonial powers and accelerating the decolonization process across the continent of Africa. The Organization of African Unity's impact on the international stage was also significant. It allowed African nations to speak with one voice on issues of global importance. This collective voice demanded respect and attention from the international community. The OAU could now advocate for fairer trade practices, push for increased development assistance, and promote peaceful resolutions to conflicts around the world. Secondly, resilience and unity. The path to unity and ultimate freedom demanded immense resilience. Many African countries endured the brutality of colonial rule, a system that plundered resources, suppressed cultures, and enforced economic and political subserviency. In the face of overwhelming odds, liberation movements emerged across the continent, demonstrating remarkable fortitude and a spirit of Pan-Africanism. These liberation movements, comrades, forged a sense of shared destiny among African nations. Their struggles, often employing armed resistance as a last resort, were not isolated. Victories by one movement inspired and emboldened others, demonstrating the interconnectedness of the fight for freedom across the continent. Information and strategies were shared, creating a sense of solidarity and common purpose. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the resilience displayed by these movements manifested in several ways. Faced with superior weaponry and the resources of colonial powers, liberation movements often had to be resourceful and adaptable. They employed guerrilla warfare tactics, built networks of safe houses and intelligence gathering, and mobilized the local population for passive resistance and support. This ingenuity and ability to adapt ever-changing circumstances became a hallmark of their resilience. Indeed, a strategy for our resilience here in Zimbabwe. The fight for liberation was a long and arduous struggle. Movement faced setbacks, betrayals, and brutal crackdowns. You might have heard about the incursions in Zambia and in Mozambique, where young people of my time were brutally murdered in their thousands per day. But yet the spirit of resistance remained unbroken. Facing a well-armed Rhodesian regime, Zimbabwe's liberation movements, like the Zimbabwe African National Union, ZANU, and the Zimbabwe People's Union, ZAP, couldn't compete in a straight fight. Our strength lay in the resourcefulness of guerrilla tactics, with the Chimurenga fighters or the freedom fighters striking from the bush becoming a key feature of our tactics. New networks of safe houses hidden in villages and a web of informants kept us informed of enemy movements. We were weak in terms of weaponry. We did not have cars. We did not have APCs, armored personnel carriers. We did not have planes, but we were determined to liberate Zimbabwe. And in doing so, we would employ guerrilla tactics, just attack them at their weakest. So ordinary Zimbabweans played a crucial role too, offering passive resistance and vital support through acts like hiding fighters, maybe some would have been injured, and supplying them with food. This adaptability and resilience in the face of a seemingly insurmountable foe became a defining feature of our struggle. Comrades and friends, the fight for Zimbabwe's independence wasn't a walk in the park. We faced crushing setbacks, acts of betrayal, which the minister talked about, and brutal crackdowns by the Rhodesian security forces. Yet the spirit of resistance remained unyielding. Leaders like Robert Mugabe and Joshua Nkomo emerged as powerful symbols of unwavering determination, inspiring countless Zimbabweans to keep fighting for their freedom. Indeed, His Excellency, our President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, was imprisoned for 10 years because of his resistance to colonial rule and fight for the emancipation of his people. He was actually sentenced to death, but due to his youthful looking, he was served the rope. He was incarcerated in Salisbury prison. He went to Kami prison, where I went to and where I served my 5 years. Coincidentally, his cell was 32 and mine was 34. So there is no better demonstration of resilience than being incarcerated for so long in your teenage ages, as happened to the President Mugabe and the President Mnangagwa when he was arrested and convicted for bombing a train near then Fort Victoria, which is now Masvingo, in 1965. My own personal experience was no different, and indeed my biography is titled Resilience and Fortitude, as it chronicles the long and difficult journey that I walked through the days of our liberation struggle for emancipation. But this lecture is not about me. So I digressed. You will forgive me for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the liberation struggles were not merely national endeavors. Leaders recognized the interconnectedness of their cause. They formed alliances, shared resources, and provided training and support to liberation movements in the other countries. This Pan-African solidarity strengthened their resolve and demonstrated that the fight for freedom transcended national borders. The shared experience of overcoming colonial oppression fostered a powerful sense of Pan-Africanism. Nations emerged from independence not only with a newfound sense of self-determination, but also with a recognition of their shared history and intertwined destinies. This sense of unity would become a critical driver in the future pursuit of continental unity through the institutions like the OAU. And the resilience displayed by these movements served as a wellspring of strength, a reminder that in the face of immense diversity, the collective will of people yearning for freedom would always prevail. This spirit of resilience continues to be an inspiration for Africa today. As the continent grapples with the new challenges on the path to a more unified and prosperous future. However, unity did not equate to uniformity. Africa is woven from a multitude of ethnicities, cultures, and languages. The OAU recognized this diversity as a strength, promoting unity while respecting individual national identities. This delicate balance remains a cornerstone of African unity. A united continent that celebrates its remarkable cultural mosaic. The idea of African unity is not about erasing the vibrant cultural identities that make the continent unique. A united Africa thrives on contributions of diverse cultures and languages and traditions. The OAU embraced its concept by fostering a framework for cooperation that acknowledged and respected these differences.
Hey, my name is Charmaine Sanjobo. I'm from Faculty of Arts and Humanities doing honors in philosophy, ethics and human development. On the Vice President's speech, I heard about the issue of collaboration from the young nation, which talks about their way, how they fight in the liberation struggle from Zambia, going on to the other countries. So in order to engage to come up with solutions, we need to engage with other countries, different countries, so that we can come up with other solutions that will improve our nation, Zimbabwe.
My name is Shannon Kanshwaika Pingautoa, and I'm a student at the University of Zimbabwe. I'm in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. From the Vice President's public lecture, President Mohadi, I learned that for them to attain the main goal, for us to get independence, we should be very resilient, because during the war they were very resilient in order to achieve the goal of independence. So this is also needed in our modern world. We need to be resilient in everything that we do in order to achieve. He also said that as young ladies, we should always persevere in our goals to achieve. We should never give up, but to continue and do what we do best. He also urged that in today's world, as Africans, we need to be united. As he said about this mantra, divided we fall and united we stand. He said that in order to achieve the main goal, we have to be united as Africans so that we will reach one goal, so as to set a good example for us, the young ones, because we are the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adriana Brumbo. I'm a student here at the University of Zimbabwe from the Faculty of Social and Behavioral Sciences, and I'm doing social work. I'm here representing the entertainment in Kembo. So from the lecture, I learned about resilience. Zvanzinofanira kungoshingirira pane zvinhu zvinoitika mulife, especially isusu ma-students. Unofanira kushingirira kudzidza, even if you face ma-challenges akawanda, you have to be strong uchishingirira until you obtain the goal that you want to obtain. Thank you.